The slap wasn't supposed to happen. Downtown LA buzzed with its usual low hum of chaos. Car horns, sidewalk vendors yelling over music, sirens echoing faintly in the distance. But that one sound, the sharp, skin-on-skin crack, cut through it all like a blade. Officer Mark Delaney's palm connected with the side of Snoop Dogg's face in front of at least a dozen phones pointed straight at them. "Back up, I said back up!" Delaney's voice was hoarse, adrenaline-soaked. Snoop didn't back up, he just stood there, stunned, his sunglasses knocked slightly askew, lips parted like he couldn't believe what had just happened. A few feet behind him, his entourage froze, so did the crowd. Nobody said anything for a beat, then someone gasped. Then came the chorus of "Did you see that?" and "Yo, he just hit Snoop." Cameras were already recording, but now they were streaming. It had started 4 minutes earlier. Snoop was filming a segment for a charity drive, handing out backpacks and free meals to kids outside a shelter near Skid Row. It was a rare kind of day in LA. Hazy sun filtering through smog, warm enough to sweat, not warm enough to complain. The vibe was good, music playing, laughter. The smell of tacos and fresh-cut fruit lingered in the air. And then 2 squad cars pulled up. Officer Delaney stepped out first. He didn't recognize Snoop right away. He just saw a crowd gathered in a zone known for drugs, violence, and parole violations. His partner, Rachel Kim, younger and quieter, clocked the camera crews and tried to wave him off. "Looks like a filming permit, Mark." Delaney didn't care. He pushed forward, hand already resting on his belt. "Disperse. This isn't permitted." Snoop turned, holding a mic, laughing at something a kid had said. He looked right at Delaney and said, "Yo, we're just feeding folks, man." "You good? Step back now." "It's all good, officer. I said step back." That's when Delaney shoved him, and when Snoop didn't budge, didn't raise a hand, didn't even tense, the slap came. Hard, loud, caught in 4K, and just like that, silence became thunder. Someone screamed. Rachel reached for Delaney's arm. "Mark, what the hell are you doing?" "Obstruction." He was resisting. He wasn't moving. He didn't even touch you. Rachel looked around. Phones everywhere. Livestream comments started to flood TikTok, Instagram, even YouTube. Within minutes, hashtags formed. Slap Snoop, Justice for Snoop, LAPD brutality. Delaney's face turned pale. He took a step back. He provoked. "Stop talking," Rachel muttered under her breath. "Just stop." But it was too late. Snoop finally adjusted his glasses, didn't say a word, just looked right into the nearest camera, eyes glassy, calm but unreadable. The way someone looks when they've seen this before, too many times. Back at LAPD headquarters, the clip had already made it onto CNN. People in Times Square would see it within the hour. But in that alley, on that broken sidewalk, time paused for just a second longer. Delaney's breathing was ragged. Rachel's hands trembled. The kids who had come for backpacks and hugs now stared at the officers like they were statues from a nightmare. And Snoop? He finally spoke. "Y'all still wonder why we march?" He didn't yell. He whispered, and it echoed louder than the slap. To see what happens next, what the LAPD does, what Snoop chooses, and how the world responds, stick with us. And if this hit you in the gut like it did us, hit that subscribe and drop your thoughts below. Chief Morales wasn't a man who panicked easily, but as he stared at the paused frame of the slap, Snoop Dogg mid-flinch, Officer Delaney mid-swing, his jaw tightened like a vice. "Play it again," he ordered. The video looped, over and over, the strike, the silence, the stare into the camera. Each time it played, it felt heavier, more damning. Morales turned to his deputy. "Where is Delaney now?" "Administrative leave, pending investigation. Unions already contacted legal." Morales muttered something in Spanish under his breath, then leaned back in his chair. "This isn't just a mistake. This is a meltdown, national profile. You hit Snoop." The deputy didn't respond. What was there to say? Across the city, Delaney sat at his kitchen table in silence. His wife, Lisa, stood at the sink behind him, arms folded tight, eyes red-rimmed. Their teenage son hadn't come out of his room in hours. "You don't have anything to say?" she finally asked. Mark rubbed his temples. "I don't know what you want me to say." "I want to understand what the hell you were thinking," she snapped. You slapped Snoop Dogg, Mark. You put your hands on a man who was feeding kids while being filmed. What kind of officer are you? Mark stared down at his badge lying on the table. Cold, useless now. I lost it, he said quietly. No, Lisa said. You didn't lose it. You exposed it. Meanwhile, Snoop's phone hadn't stopped buzzing. He ignored most of the messages, from managers, agents, even CNN, but when Kendrick called, he picked up. Yo, Snoop said. You good? There was a pause. I'm tired, man. Kendrick exhaled. You gonna press charges? Already did. My team's handling it. Lawyers up. About time someone held them accountable. You know they're gonna twist it. Say you provoked it. Snoop sat in silence. His living room was quiet, dimly lit. The only sound was the low buzz of traffic drifting through the windows. I ain't even angry, he finally said. Not even surprised, just disappointed. Again. They scared, man. You see how fast it blew up? Oh, I know, but I ain't doing this for clicks. Kendrick paused. What you gonna do? Snoop looked out the window at the city. His city. Make 'em listen. Back at LAPD headquarters, Rachel Kim sat alone in a side room, waiting for internal affairs. She tapped her knee, over and over, nervous energy pouring out of her fingertips. She'd filed her report already, truthfully, every word, every second of it. A knock at the door broke the rhythm. A woman entered, older, precise, eyes like ice. Detective Kim, thank you for your honesty. Not many officers would have put what you did in writing. Rachel stood. It was the truth. He hit that man for no reason. I won't lie to cover that. The woman gave a slow nod. You're going to be on the news. Rachel blinked. What? Transparency. The chief's pushing to show the department isn't hiding this. You'll be speaking at a press conference. Rachel's heart pounded. What if they come after me? They already are, but they'll come harder if you stay quiet. She swallowed hard. Okay, I'll do it. Downtown, a mural was already being painted over a cracked brick wall. Snoop's face, mid-stare, eyes steady, lips barely parted. Below it, bold red letters read, You still wonder why we march. The podium looked smaller than it should have. Rachel Kim stood behind it, palms clammy, cameras blinking red like a firing squad. The city seal behind her barely registered in her peripheral vision. What she did feel was the weight of eyes of judgment, of risk. Chief Morales stood to her right, stoic. The mayor sat nearby, jaw clenched, arms folded. This wasn't about one cop anymore. It was about the department, the system, public trust teetering on a thread. Rachel took a breath, then spoke. On the morning of the incident, I was present with Officer Mark Delaney during the altercation involving Mr. Calvin Broadus, professionally known as Snoop Dogg. What I witnessed was not consistent with LAPD training, nor with the values we are sworn to uphold. Cameras clicked. Reporters leaned forward. I want to be clear, she continued, her voice gaining strength. Mr. Broadus did not resist. He did not provoke. He was participating in a peaceful, permitted charitable event when my partner struck him. She paused, heart pounding. But she saw faces soften, eyes widen. A shift. And I believe, she said slowly, that silence in the face of injustice is complicity. So I'm speaking. The room erupted into noise, questions flying, mics extended, voices overlapping. Morales stepped forward, shutting it down. That will be all for today, thank you. As they walked off stage, Morales leaned toward her. You just put a target on your back. Rachel didn't flinch. Let them aim. Elsewhere, in a sleek glass studio in Burbank, Snoop sat across from Gayle King. The interview had been scheduled within hours of the video going viral. His publicist wanted emotion, his fans wanted fire, but Snoop was calm, collected. Do you forgive him? Gayle asked softly. Snoop leaned back. I ain't here for revenge, I'm here for clarity. You know how many times I've seen this happen? To brothers without cameras, without names? Gayle nodded. But this time, it was you. And that's why I gotta talk. Because if I can get slapped for standing still, feeding hungry kids, what you think happens to the ones they don't film? She leaned forward. "What do you want people to take from this moment?" He looked into the lens, right into the eyes of America. "Don't just be outraged for me. Be outraged for the ones you ain't never heard of. Use your voice when it's not trending. That's how change starts." At a union meeting across town, Officer Delaney sat in a cold room filled with grey suits. His lawyer flipped through folders, calm and detached. "They're going to spin this, Mark," the lawyer said. "They'll make you a scapegoat." Delaney didn't answer. "You followed protocol. You had cause. You felt threatened." Delaney finally looked up. "I didn't feel threatened." A pause. "Then why?" "I was angry. I was tired. I saw a crowd and I didn't see people. I saw problems." Silence. "I didn't see him. I saw a threat, even though he wasn't one." The lawyer leaned back. "Then don't say that. Ever. Not publicly." Delaney looked down at his own hands. "But it's the truth." Online, the clip of Rachel Kim's speech hit 1 million views in 5 hours. Comments poured in, some calling her brave, others branding her a traitor. Memes surfaced, side-by-side images of her and Snoop. Two voices, same truth. The mural downtown had grown. Now, beside Snoop's face, Rachel's was being added, her eyes focused, hand raised as if mid-oath. And across the country, in classrooms, barbershops, living rooms, the conversation had shifted. It wasn't just about a slap anymore. It was about everything that slap stood for. The protest started small. A few hundred people gathered outside LAPD headquarters. Cardboard signs, bullhorns, chants echoing down the corridors of downtown. But by sunset, it was thousands. Helicopters circled. Police barricades creaked under pressure. The air carried that charged energy. Not rage, not yet, but the kind that could tip in a heartbeat. Snoop arrived quietly, hood up, flanked by community leaders and artists. Not a spectacle, just presence. Real, grounded. He didn't take the mic. He didn't need to. People chanted his name anyway. Nearby, Rachel Kim stood on the steps behind the crowd, plainclothes blending in. She hadn't planned on coming, but when she saw the mural go viral, she felt the pull. Not to be seen, to witness. To remind herself why she'd spoken up in the first place. Her phone buzzed, an unknown number. Detective Kim? Yes. "This is Agent Trujillo with the FBI's Civil Rights Division. We'd like to speak with you about Officer Delaney. Off the record for now." She blinked. "Why the FBI?" "We believe there may be a pattern in his prior conduct. Use of force complaints. Suppressed records." "We're reviewing cases." Rachel looked out at the crowd. "I'll talk, but not off the record." A pause, then, "Understood." In a gated suburb 15 miles away, Mark Delaney watched the protests on TV. Alone. Lisa had taken the kids to her mother's. She didn't say when she'd be back. He hadn't left the house in days. Couldn't scroll for more than 5 seconds without seeing his own face, frozen mid-slap, eyes wild. The internet had already judged him, but what haunted him more was Rachel's face, the calm certainty when she testified. He hadn't known she had it in her. And now the FBI. He opened his laptop, pulled up an old file, body cam footage from a year ago, a teen, 17, hands behind his head. Delaney yelling, pushing, another shove. No slap that time, but close. He shut the laptop. No, he thought, not like this. But deep down, he wasn't so sure anymore. In the heart of South Central, a town hall was underway. Folding chairs, fluorescent lights. Snoop stood at the front, sleeves rolled, face serious. No entourage, no cameras, just neighbors, elders, kids, teachers. He pointed to a boy in the second row. "What did you feel when you saw it?" The boy, maybe 12, shrugged. "Didn't surprise me. Cops always do that." Another voice, an older woman. "But you got them listening, baby. Don't stop now." Snoop nodded. "I ain't gonna stop, but I can't do it alone." A man in the back shouted, "So what's next?" Snoop looked around. "We organize. We vote. We protect our own, and we hold everybody accountable, even the ones that look like us if they forget what they're here for." Someone clapped, then another. Soon the whole room echoed. Change wasn't a speech, it was a plan. And this was the start. That night, Rachel found a note taped to her locker. Traitor, big black marker, sharp, angry. She peeled it off slowly, folded it, didn't tear it. Just stared. Behind her, another officer said quietly, "I saw what you did." She turned. He looked nervous. It mattered. She didn't respond, just gave the smallest nod. Lines had been drawn, but cracks were forming in the silence. And across the city, the mural grew once again. Now a third face appeared, the boy from the town hall, hand raised, eyes lit with something rare, belief. Below them all, a new phrase in bold, "It stops when we say it stops." The courtroom was packed. Journalists lined the back wall. Every major network was present. Snoop sat at the plaintiff's table in a crisp grey suit, silent, unreadable. Rachel Kim was 3 rows behind him. She hadn't been called to testify, her report already spoke volumes, but she came anyway. She needed to see this through. Mark Delaney sat alone, no family, just his lawyer. He looked thinner, older, resigned. The viral moment that had defined the last 3 weeks was now frozen on a large screen overhead. The judge addressed the room. "Mr. Delaney, this court finds that you acted with unjustified force in violation of civil rights protections afforded to Mr. Broadus under federal law." Gasps, then silence. "You are hereby stripped of your law enforcement credentials and will face sentencing under the conditions outlined in your plea agreement." Delaney didn't move, didn't blink, just stared ahead, hollow. Outside, the crowd waited, cameras poised, signs waving, chants simmering like a low fire. But Snoop didn't walk out to them. He slipped through a side door and into a waiting SUV. The driver looked back. "Back to the studio." Snoop shook his head. "Nah, take me to Crenshaw." In the heart of the city, the mural was finished. 3 faces now stood 10 feet tall, Snoop, Rachel, and the boy, each connected by a single red line, like a thread pulled tight across generations. Below, crowds had gathered, not to riot, but to build. Food trucks parked along the curb. Voter registration booths buzzed. Local teachers set up folding tables for tutoring. What had started with a slap had become something else entirely. Snoop stepped out of the SUV and into the noise. People clapped, some cried, but no one asked for autographs. They knew this wasn't about music anymore. He made his way to the front of the mural. The same kid from the town hall ran up to him, holding a crumpled notebook. "I wrote that poem you asked me to." Snoop crouched down. "You gonna read it?" The boy nodded nervously, then turned to the crowd. He read, "When they hit us, they don't see us. But when we rise, they hear us. We are not threat, we are thread. We tie this broken thing together." The crowd fell silent. Then, applause. Rachel watched from a distance, arms crossed, lips pressed tight to keep from crying. It wasn't her moment and she didn't need it to be, but she felt something settle inside her, like the ground had stopped shaking. That night, a news anchor closed the segment with a quiet reflection. "Tonight, we don't just report on a moment. We witness a shift. What started with violence ended in voices. The question is, will we listen?" Back at home, Snoop stood in his backyard, city lights flickering beyond the hills. Kendrick was there, sipping from a bottle of Topo Chico. "You think it lasts?" Kendrick asked. Snoop shrugged. "It's a start. You did something, man. I didn't do it alone." Kendrick smiled. "Still, you turned a slap into a spark." Snoop looked out at LA. Messy, sprawling, scarred, and still standing. "Nah," he said. "We did." And that's the story. Sometimes change doesn't come from a stage or a law passed by someone in a suit. Sometimes it starts with something ugly, something wrong. But what matters is what we do with it. If this story moved you, if it made you feel, reflect, think, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below. We want to hear what you would do if you saw someone silenced and how you'd speak up. Because this story, it's not just Snoop's, it's ours.